Welcome to the Ladies Kickin' Ass podcast, where we help you ignite your inner badass and create the service business of your dreams. I'm your host, Tanya Wilson, and together we'll dive into inspiring stories and expert coaching to set your journey on fire. Hi, ladies. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm so excited for this conversation today. We've already been talking a whole bunch before we hit record, and I was like, we should probably stop and actually record a podcast instead of just having this conversation all by ourselves. So I have a fellow septic sister with me on the podcast today, and I am so excited to introduce you to Megan. If you are watching this on YouTube, that's this babe on front of the Pumper magazine, which this was so cool. Like, as soon as this came in my mailbox, I was like, I got to get her on the podcast. I have to. And then I talked to Kim, and she's like, oh, I know her. And I was like, well, then it's meant to be. So Megan is the owner of Harris & Sons Septic, and she services North Carolina and Virginia. And she is one of those badass babes that's out on the pump truck, just like Kim is, and out there just building a name for herself and building an amazing business for her and for her 3 boys. So she is a wild and crazy working mama. I'm sure some days you just throw those boys in the truck and say, giddy up, let's go. Let's figure out how to get all of this to work. We've all done that before. I've raised babies under my desk too in a construction yard. So sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So Megan, why don't you go ahead and give us a little bit of your backstory about how you got into the septic industry in the first place and why you love what you do with your company.
Of course, I'd love to. So the way we got into the septic business is I was actually at the time an agriculture teacher. I graduated from Virginia Tech, and then I graduated from Western Governors University, and I had planned to teach like kindergarten, and then they wanted me to teach at my local high school, ag. So I had been teaching for a few years, probably like 3 years, and COVID happened. So I was pregnant with the 3rd baby, and I think they took us out from COVID before I had him, like I don't know, I had him in September, so before. So while I was at home with him, there was no daycare and we didn't have to go into work. We were all working from home. I was like, man, we got to do something else because my insurance I was paying so much for insurance. Like I was supposed to be making like $45,000 a year, but after $1,100 a month in insurance came out, I was making like maybe 25, and then everything else went to daycare. And I was like, we got to do something. Well, my former husband was a general contractor, and he, built barns and houses and whatnot. And I helped him with his company. And it was super hard to find somebody that could like breathe and hold a hammer and stay off crack all at the same time and have a driver's license. So it was stressful for him. And I said, well, we need to do something else. Well, he happened to do a barn in my hometown of Scottsburg, Virginia. He happened to build a barn, and the guy that he was building the barn for was from Durham, North Carolina, and had ran a septic business for 40 years. And he I guess they got to talking about it one day, and Joe came home with the idea, and he was like, hey, so I talked to Scotty today, and, maybe we ought to buy a pumper truck. And I was like, I what? And he was like, yeah, we should look into buying a pumper truck. Like, this is what he makes. This is what he does, which Durham is way more populated than around here. And, I was like, Joe, I don't know. Let me do some research and, whatever. Well, of course, because the teacher in me, I do all this research, and I was like, I'm going to buy a septic truck. So I went online and got out everything I needed to do in Carolina. That's the state I started in. Figured out what all I needed to do. We took the class. They were going to send me back to work. They called us back into work in February. And I had already filed the LLC, and everything was basically kind of just truck hunting. And I was just kind of going along kind of slow because I was still working. I was working 2 jobs. I was working at the downtown South Boston Farmers Market managing, and as a high school ag teacher. And in February, I had a 6-month-old, and they called us back into work. And I said, nope, like there is no way. There was no babysitting, nobody to keep him. I was already paying 2 other babysitters because my oldest was only 6 at the time. And I was like, there's no way I'm not paying all this daycare and trying to work and whatever. I said, I'll keep my job at the farmer's market, but I'm going to resign from the school system. So I resigned and I was like, all right, I got to buckle down. We got to find a freaking truck, and I like looked at Joe in the face and I said, listen, if I buy a pumper truck, are you going to help me run it? Because I knew I had all the kids. I was like, if I buy a pumper truck, are you going to help me run it? And he was like, yeah, I guess so, but you'll never be able to finance a pumper truck. Like, you're not going to be able to do it because you're just a teacher. That was his favorite phrase. Anyway, so I said, okay, hold my beer. I got you. And I looked, I was like, hold my beer. No, cool. And so I called around and I was looking at actually Pumper Magazine. I was looking all over online and trying to figure out what kind of bike I want to stay under CDL. I want it to be small, but not too small. And just kind of did a lot of research. And I found one in Pumper. It was actually 2 of them. And I called the guy, and he was the most preciousest old man I have ever talked to. He was so, so sweet. I told him my idea. I said, listen, I'm a new company. This is what I'm naming it. I already got my LLC. I said, and I'm just looking for a truck so I can get started. I said, and all I have to do is get the truck, letter it, sign up the dump permits, and I'm good to go. Like, I'm like literally just trying to find a truck. And he actually lives close to the international dealership in Denver, Colorado, on the other side of the United States. And he would get to use chassis and put brand new tanks and pumps on them. So I said, okay. And he told me the prices and whatever. I said, all right, well, I've got to go, let me go talk to my bank or whatever. And he said, let me tell you something. I've talked to you for 30 minutes and I've fallen in love with you. He said, this truck will not move until you can finance it. He said, I don't know if it takes you a month or 2. You do what you can. She said, as much drive as you have, I know you'll be able to finance it. And he said, I'm not going to let anybody else look at it. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. Anyway, and it was precious. Anyway, so I go around and he had sent me a few different people. And I went around, I finally went to, my local bank, and I had written up a whole business plan. And I just called them, and the lady told me, I'll get Susan to call you back later. So later on that day, I'm going into the Italian Delight little local restaurant and to get food, and my phone rings, and she's like, hey, this is Susan McLeod from American National. Tell me about your business idea, what you want to do. I didn't know who it was that called. I didn't recognize the phone number. I had to spit out my business plan, and I had it down to a pat to exactly how many tanks I had to do a month to pay the truck payment, to pay all the bills, everything. I knew exactly the number I needed, knew exactly what I was going to charge, everything, how I was going to get more business. I had worked this thing out to a T. I spit it all out to her in 3 minutes, and she said, Megan, come in tomorrow. She was like, we're going to figure it out. And she did. Even though I was a teacher, I got a co-signer. I got my brother-in-law to co-sign for me, and we got it going. And July 4th weekend, they had to, go get all the tags right and get all they had to do all these transfers and crazy shit. And July 4th weekend, I think it was a Monday, we used to live when I used to live in Roxborough on a driveway with a bunch of different houses. Well, my pumper truck came in on a Dodge flatbed. A guy had pulled it from Denver, Colorado to here, and it was coming in the driveway. And Joe was like, what in the world did Sammy buy? I said, Sammy didn't buy anything. I bought a pumper truck. And he was like, what? I was like, yep, I bought that truck, but that's mine. And I said, now we got to get, I said, $90 going to letter it next week, and we're set on go. And he was just like, oh my God, So it was cool. And so it was a very nice surprise. Anyway, and so that's kind of how we got started. I started in Carolina. We did, we started after we got the truck in July. By the time we got lettered and got everything inspected, whatever, we started kind of last week in July, first week of August. And, it was very slow. I didn't have our name out there yet. I had made all the social media pages, was posting, and stuff like that. And I filmed this thing about it being an inspector, because after I went on the job 2 or 3 times with Joe, I was like, I got to do something else. I need something that I can bring to it, because I knew he could run it, but I needed something I could bring to it. So I got my inspection license by the December or whatever. I had to take the exam, I think, in November. So by November, December, I got my inspection license, and that really opened me up, and I started advertising inspections. Well, I'm from Virginia, and it's right Roxborough, Percy County, Halifax, State, Virginia. It's like the state line. Like, we're right on it. So I started getting calls for realtors in Virginia. They said, look, nobody else does septic inspections but one company. Like, can you please get licensed in Virginia? Because he needs competition. Like, we need more options to use. And I was like, I don't know. I'm still little. Like, I'm worried. I'm scared. And anyway, I went ahead over and got my license, and I took the exam, and I've got a master alternative on site. I'm probably the only woman that has that in Virginia, or not only. Probably it's very few of us. I bet it's like probably 10 or less, I would say, because not many women have that. And anyway, I got that and started running in Virginia, and that's when I joined the MLS, the local realtor MLS of like 100 and some realtors. That's what popped off. I mean, it went from us doing like maybe freaking 12, 15 tanks a month, if that, maybe less, to it popped off to where we were doing like 10 jobs a week, 15 jobs a week, up now 20 jobs a week. Like, that popped off. And I mean, it was amazing. I loved it. I love, I still, it's so weird to me now that I run the truck myself full time, how much I just freaking love it. Like, and it's so, people look at me like, you really like doing this? I'm like, hell yeah, I like doing it. I mean, do you know how good it feels when you're out there slinging hoses and somebody looks at you and says, man, that's a bad bitch. And you're like, you damn right. And I like it. I like it. I bought a mini excavator. And so I like going out there and doing little repairs on my mini excavator, and people looking at me like, man, you do pretty good. And I'm like, I know, I like it. It's fun.
That's awesome. Yeah. What kind of mini did you get?
I got Kubota. So the big installing equipment, there's a dealership right down the road from my hometown where I lived at, and I've known them my whole life. They're huge Kubota International, whatever they was, and they are the sweetest people. The owner, I just pumped his septic tank last week. I went all the way to Keysville to pump his because they're just so sweet. So I've been going there with my dad on Saturdays looking at equipment since I was like 5. And actually, when I graduated from high school, Robert Tucker, the old man that used to own it, I went to Virginia Tech, and they're big Hokie fans. And Robert Tucker sent me like money, like good money, to go to Tech, like just because. And he would always come give me a hug. Like, I just love them. I have a lot of his phone number. Like, we snap, like, so they hooked me right up. It was so funny because I went up there and I told Lonnie what kind I wanted or whatever, and he was like, all right, but just still, it's going to take me a minute because these are a little bit hard to find. Bullshit. Next Tuesday, I had my damn excavator. I went up there on a Thursday. He called me Friday. They went and picked it up. They swapped like a tractor or something out, and with another dealership, and they had my shit ready on Tuesday. I left there and did an inspection up the road, like 10 miles up the road, and dug it. I was like, please be deep, because I wanted to use my excavator so bad.
That's so awesome. It's so awesome. How do people react when you go to their houses and you get out of the pump truck and start hooking up hoses or get this excavator up? Do you pull the excavator behind your pump truck?
No, I don't. I don't use the excavator because it's so big, and I try to stay light. I don't usually take those. If I do, I either get I usually get my dad's truck or something and take it if I need to. But now, since August, before, we would do a few more repairs. And now, since August, I've been running the pump truck myself. I kind of leave all of my repairs to like 360 excavating. That way, it's just a little stressful.
Well,
trying to handle all of it.
Honestly, Megan, that's one of the smartest things you can do too. Can we do it all? Sure. But can we hire other people to be doing those repairs and install jobs that come in and keep my guys on the pump trucks rolling? And now you've got 4 streams of income coming in instead of pulling guys off pump trucks or taking you off to go do those things. Mm-hmm. So for sure, definitely, even subbing stuff out like that once you are able to get out off of the pump truck and you hire somebody. Like my install team, I don't have an internal install team. It's a great friend of ours that owns his own excavating business. It all runs through me and then I just sub it out to him. I don't have equipment and I don't have the overhead of all that stuff, but we make damn good money off of those. I mean, margins for septic installs in the Phoenix area is like 50 to 65%, depending upon where you're at. So that's really good money coming in just for filing a permit. So there's lots of cool ways you can diversify and get a lot of streams of income coming in this industry. So with that, like, what are some of your plans as you grow? Like, what do you want to see your business look like next year or 5 years from now?
So right now, my main goal, I was talking with my hands like Ricky Bobby Jesus.
That's okay. I do too.
Yeah. But so right now, what I'm working on doing, because like right now, I'm like basically the marketing team, the secretary, the bookkeeper, advertising, doing the service, keeping the truck straight, mechanic, and whatever. I'm kind of doing all that. So my main thing right now is hiring help so that I can step, as much as I hate even saying that. Oh, it hurts my feelings. So I can step out of the pumper truck, even though I don't even like to think about anybody else driving my truck. But so I can step out. They can be pumping all day. If it's an inspection, I could pop in on my Suburban or, a work truck to do inspections. And then I can kind of expand in other directions. Because like right now with me doing so much, it's really hard for me to be able to expand because you just don't have time to hardly even think about it. But I would like one thing I really want, or I want vacuum trailers. I think I heard you talk about that on the podcast. Yeah. I want vacuum trailers really bad. I do not like porta potties. I don't like porta johns. I will be in the woods, but I do want some bougie bathroom trailers. So that's one way that I want to expand. I would like to be able to really perfect, and I'm actually working on that right now since I got this new computer. I'm really working on perfecting my inspections and trying to offer more to the customer. I'm working on getting up with tape track. Kim told me about that. Kim Turner. Well, she's got to be Kim Turner. Kim Hatch. She's almost Turner. Anyway, Kim Hatch with tape tracker. That way I can kind of utilize that, and then I can keep up with all my customers so I can have some reoccurring customers, and something that can call them, back, something more efficient. Because right now I'm just using like a spreadsheet, and I know damn well I can see my ass looking at that spreadsheet in about 5 years. Like, really? I really had high hopes for myself. And then I'm like, did you really think you were going to do that? It's just better to pay for the app, man. Just pay for the app.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't use Tank Track. I use House Call Pro, but it's so simple. And there's so many automations that you can put into stuff. Like, it's incredible. I've actually been talking to Service Titan about switching over to that. Even now we're big enough to be able to get into them. There's so much cool stuff that they're putting in with AI and that stuff, and being able to respond to customers and like the automations behind that stuff. Even, really customizing and niching down like chat windows on your website to where it's pretty much having a conversation with them. You teach the AI and then it knows everything that you told it. So it's like putting your brain into something that can talk for you. Because how many times when you get phone calls do you find yourself saying the same shit over and over and over again? It's something like, can I get a price for a pump out? And you're like, sure. What's your address? Okay. Do you know what size your tank is? Okay, let me look it up. Like you can actually set this up with AI coming up. It does all that shit for you. I mean, it's going to be so incredible in being an aid for the office and customer service. I'm not saying like put everything automated, because I'm a big fan of customer touch and you answering the phone and talking to people, because most people are calling because it's a real shitty situation at their house. Let's be honest. Most people aren't calling because it's a routine maintenance situation. They usually have shit in the bathtub. So, but there's just so many cool things that you can do to really build that retention rate as you're building up, It's tough in the septic too, because, people will say, well, you got to get them to buy more, or you got to have them do it more often. Well, septic tank pumping for the most part is not something that's coming back usually any less than every 3 years at a minimum that people are calling you back. So you're consistently looking for new clients. So that's really cool to be able to retain the ones that you do get, since you do pay a pretty penny to get the ones that you do get. So really cool. There's so many cool things that are coming out with that.
Yeah, but see, you know, we've been in business. I'm trying to think. It'll be almost 3 years this year, right? Yeah, 2021. Yeah, math ain't math, and sorry, it's an evening. I've been working today. So, math has never been my subject anyway, unless it's counting money. I'm just playing.
Yeah.
But so like I'm on that 3 year mark, and I'm already like super busy. And I said, you know, when we start getting ripped, and I have people that are like, oh, I'm calling you. They've written the date down, like they're gonna call. And I've had some actually already call a little earlier than the 3 years. So I'm like, dude, I can only do so many a day. Like, it's not going to be very long. Like, by the end of the year, I'm going to have a bigger truck. And I'm going to have a 2-truck front. The next truck I get, I would like to get like a 3,500 gallon or something like that. Bigger, you know, with a CDL driver and something I can put a little excavator on a tiny one on or whatever, and get 2 guys in there and, you know, have my little truck running still. You know, even if I want to run the little truck, I can run the little truck like 3 days a week with a part-time guy or something until we get busy enough to need both trucks. But I don't think we're gonna. I think we'll be busy every time. Like this should be our slower. Everybody's like, you know, when we got started in it, everybody was like, oh yeah, January and February is always a slower season. I'm like, where? What do you mean? It's not slow. This is not slow, but I mean, I'm thankful. I love it. But just like right now, I feel like there's so many avenues to grow on, and I'm just like having to calm myself down and say, okay, this is the best solution. Work on little things at a time. Don't try to look at the big thing. You know, that's how my brain works. So right now, it's basically like I'm hiring a new guy next week, and I'm hoping that it'll grow into a situation where he would want to drive and maybe clump some, and then, you know, on his own, and I can put like a helper in there with him when he wants it or whatever. And, you know, that'll be checked off the list. Then I'm out of the truck and I can focus on expanding in other ways. And I feel like it'd be great. Because people don't really understand, like in septic, there's so many ways you can expand. You can, like, you know, you can go the installer route, or you can go the, you know, porta-john route, or some bathroom trailers, or, you know, stuff like that. Like, I love my favorite part of everything is my inspections, because I love using my camera. It's just my favorite.
Yeah.
I love it. I like talking to the people. I like educating the people. That's like my favorite part of the entire business. So if I can get out of the truck from doing some physical labor so that I can work on, like, you know, any kind of education, like I can send my service contract people, or, you know, new clients. I really need to work on my website, because my website is, if you've tried to go to it, it's non-existent because I messed it up and I have not fixed it yet. But after my divorce is final, I'm going to change the name of my company, but I'm waiting until that's final, just in case. So, you know, I'm working on all the graphics, all of my letterhead stuff I've made. You know, I'm a big fan of Canva. I love it. Because you can make all your forms on there. It's so fancy. You can make all your marketing. Well, like, and it's so easy because I've got my new logo and stuff drawn up and everything. It's like great. And I can just pop them and switch them with my other stuff. And I'm using the same color scheme. So it's going to be great. I'm tickled to death. Like, I can't wait. But I'm like, I just can't, since I'm in the midst of the mud here, I can't, like, I wanted to announce it on here, I swear. Like, I thought about it all week. I was like, you gotta say it. And I was like, no, you better not. Be smart.
Well,
Make them sign a prenup, ladies. Yeah, we'll do that. I told somebody, was like, so when are you going to get married again? And I was like, first of all, no. Not unless I make them sign a prenup. My only husband I've ever had, I'm 30 and he's 59. And that's just as effed up as it sounds. And we have 3 boys together. And he's, you know, this whole thing. And I'm like, damn. So somebody asked me the other day, they said, so you gonna marry another old man, or you gonna go young? And I was like, I got 3 boys. Leave me alone.
Yes.
Amen. Nobody. I will run away.
I told my husband that too. I'm like, if anything ever happens to you again, I will die the old spinster because no one needs to do this again. I'm good. I'm good.
Seriously.
Yeah, that's a lot. That is a lot.
Just a little extra
Well,
sauce, man. It's wow.
oh yeah. So I love having women that are in the trades, especially somebody that's in my same line of trades industry here, because I have been that woman for years too, that you walk in the room and they're like, oh, whose secretary is she? You know, and then you walk in and you actually know your shit.
Yes.
It is my favorite thing to do. Like that to me is like standing in your full power of like, fucking test me because I will school you on everything. I know my shit.
Mm-hmm. I
So I
love it.
love
I love
being
it.
able to do that. And I know a lot of times people will look at us and they're going to be like, you guys don't look like women that would be in this kind of industry. Why do you choose to stay in this industry? Like, do you ever get that being in a smaller town of like, who the hell do you think you are as a woman being in this industry? We know this industry has traditionally been extremely male dominated, extremely on the darker side of blue collar workers. Everybody's, hired some sketchy people before. So it's like, it's one of those industries where it's like, like when I first met my husband, he actually came into the business and started working a couple years after I had met him. So he was kind of like, you can't hang out at your, at the office after dark, or you can't, like there's very much like the safety situation around that. How do you get treated where you live at, like when you go to the dumping facilities, or how people react to you when you're educating them on septic? Is it really receptive, or do you still run into that like, I need to talk to the man in charge? Because those are my favorite phone calls to get.
Oh, heck yeah. Like I used to love when I got a phone call and they'd be like, I need to talk. I need to talk to, about, I've got a problem. I've got, it's backing up in my whatever. And I was like, okay, well, let me know what's going on. Well, I need to talk to the owner. And I was like, I am the owner. What's going on?
Yeah.
But yeah, at first when I started and stuff, like, I would get weird looks and stuff like that. But when I start talking and I can talk to a tree and they find out real quick, oh, okay, cool. Because I'm really outgoing and, I'm out with it, and I think that they find out really quick, well, she definitely knows her shit, like, cool. And then they get, it goes from like a really, like you asked me a little while ago, how do they feel when I get out of the truck? It goes from like a super surprise, like, to like a little bit of confusion, like, how is she going to do this? So when I'm doing it, they're like, damn, she's a badass. Like, stuff like that. It's like 3 different reactions, you know what I mean? And I've had people tell me, like, I've pulled up and they're like, man, I thought you just answered the phone, but you came. I was like, yeah, I run the truck too. I said, I probably was in the truck when you called. And like, one guy actually told me the other week, they said, well, just before your truck, before y'all come, get your truck driver to call me. I'll tell him how to get here. I said, well, you better talk to me because I'm the one driving the truck as we speak, and he was like, what? Especially if you have to back down like a weird way. If you have to back like into the, oh my God, people think it's the coolest thing in the world. And then you get out and my truck's not even that big. I drive a 4300 like international, like it's under CDL. It's not huge. It's, it's big, but it's not huge. And people like, I get out and they're just like, where did you learn to back like that? I'm like, well, my dad is a truck driver and I went to Kevin Throckmorton driving school back in the 90s because I've been driving vehicles since I was 7 years old. And so, yeah, it's just a trip. Like it really takes people back, they're like, oh my goodness, I get really good vibes from everybody and, get a lot afterwards. I'll get a ton of compliments. I think the women really like it because I can make them feel more comfortable. And I can explain things in a way and break it down so that they can understand it and they don't feel so like, when a man's telling them, so I think that helps. I've had a few that like would look at me. Really very few. Because I think when I start talking, they're immediately like, well, she's a shit talker. We got to watch out because she might like throw us in there or something, So I've had very few to kind of act like I didn't know what I was talking about or something like that. Like I can't even remember it. Actually, I can't even give you an example of it. You know, so I like usually when just like with the guys that call and they're like, "Well, I need to talk to your husband," and I was like, "There's no need because he's going to tell you to call me." Like he doesn't talk. Like we're opposites. He doesn't know. He's not going to talk. So,
Yeah.
it doesn't take long. Like, and I get really good, reviews from people, and people I feel like at the end when I leave, they're very happy. And, I get a good rep. I do have some women, especially 45 to 50 and up, maybe the age range, that sometimes look like they get a little offended at me. And I don't know what it is. I feel like they look like they get so offended by me doing shit work and stuff like that and talking about it. They're just like, she should really be doing, that or something, like just a very few that I'll get that weird vibe from. But it's like one of my best friends said, my best friend was like, probably because they see you like roll up in there and you take care of yourself and like you're rolling and you can lift heavy things and, do a guy's job, and they might be a little jealous or they might be worried about that. Either one. I don't know. But I don't know.
Well, the important thing isn't what the people care about that. It's all the younger girls that watch you do that can say, maybe that's possible for me. Because that's the ones we need to be concerned about. I mean, whether it's girls going into the trades, which I'm a huge advocate of, and also even just like you try to hire, good friggin' luck. We've really got this generation of kids that are coming into the workforce, and even like up to 30, that like their parents never talked to them about the trades as a opportunity to work. It was that era where it was like, gotta go to college, gotta go to college, gotta go to college, gotta go to college. And then they go and they get strapped with $250,000 worth of fucking debt in a job that they don't end up working in the first place, and they can't buy a fucking house because now they're paying for all this student loan debt. I'm like, my pump truck drivers, I had a pump truck driver last year and the one this year. Him being here a whole full year, he'll definitely cross the 6-figure mark, pumping septic tanks. And I'm like, you're good at sales and you come into this business, I will help you achieve every one of your personal goals that you have, because that's how I run my company. Like, I want to be so invested in them that they're part of growing this business just as much as I am. The biggest compliment in the world is when my guys go out and they say, oh, you really know your shit. You must be the owner. No, they're not. But you spend so much time with them and they're so invested in caring about the people because we as employers care about them. And I think that's where it's such a beautiful thing for, if you want to be out on the pump truck, fucking badass. I would love to find some awesome, awesome babes to go out on the pump trucks here. I would love it. However, if you want to work in the office and you want to be marketing in this, or if you want to actually start this company and run this thing, I don't go out on the pump trucks and do all of that. I've been in this for 15 years. I've been out with them, but I do all the internal stuff. If like you're good at marketing and you're good at selling these home service businesses, people need that just as much. And there's so much opportunity to make really good money with sales or marketing or even internal admin support and management in these businesses. And they desperately need a female touch in them. They've been overlooked for a long time. It's been that kind of boss mentality of do this and I point the finger and hand you a shovel and watch you from top down, rather than saying, come with me and let me show you. So that's one of my biggest things is like, how do we continue to keep encouraging women to enter the trades and talk to our kids about how this is a really awesome career path, whether you work for a really awesome company or you start your own. Just like we were talking about before we got on camera, you've had a sick little boy, you've had to be out, and you have the opportunity to be out with him, albeit you're like, should I need to be in the truck making money? But at least you don't have to worry about the fact that you can't stay home with your little boy when he's sick. So you can really create the life that you want to being in the trades, and it's such a huge opportunity. We're not running out of houses or people.
Yeah. And so I used to teach when I was teaching, I taught landscaping, which was in CTE, the trades part of the high school. And, they would do, like career days and things like that. And I had about like 20 boys at a time, 3 blocks. So I had 60 different boys a semester. And a big thing that I would do with them is they had like a career project, and it had to be a trades career. They had like, points where they have to research different things, like about the salary, what they had to do it, like college-wise or trade school-wise, how long it takes to get there. And I used to think that was the best little opportunity for them, because I wouldn't let them pick the trade. I had a bowl, and I had them written, and I would shake it, and they would have to get one out, and then, they would have to present it to the whole class. So they all had a different one, and it was a cool one. And a lot of kids are like, dang, I didn't know you could do that. You can do that fast. And then I would always correlate it with career day. And that was great because, we would go down there to career day, and then all of our local industries in lawn care and like the people that make transformers. I mean, it's tons of industry around here would be there. So they would see some trades industries and stuff like that. And they always kind of thought that was cool. And now that I don't teach there anymore, I'm really good friends with the CTE director. So she keeps me with a heads up on when career day is and things like that. So I always try to bring my company to career day. But not only do I advertise like, hey, I'm the owner of Harrison Son Septic. This is what we do. I also like try to make either a PowerPoint or, something that's kind of gradually rolling, some kind of little visual of like women in the industry. This is things women can do in this industry. This is other jobs in the service industry, or, what I mean? Things like that. Just so that, you might not want to work for me. You might not want to work in shit all day. It's not that bad, but you might not want to. But here's some other, I try to keep it with the wastewater industry. So I'm like, you're a girl. You may not want to work in the pumper truck, but you can always work at a wastewater plant. You can work for the health department and do septic inspections through the health department. You can be an evaluator and take soil tests and then draw up systems. Like there's lots of work in the shit industry that really, you don't have to really touch the shit. Sometimes you just have to look at it or see where it goes. You know what I mean? You don't have to be directly, and you don't have to be like me. You don't have to be just nose to nose with it every day. I mean, it doesn't bother me, but some people get it.
Yeah.
They don't, people don't realize, they're like, how do you do it? I said, listen, I used to artificially inseminate cows at Virginia Tech, and I've raised 3 little boys that are all boy, and they talk about boats and shit and everything all the time. So, yeah, I'm good with shit. It's not that bad. And then they make things like Zermex, and I wear gloves. It's cool.
Yep.
We're all good in the hood. This is not a big deal.
Do you guys pump commercial wastewater too, like grease traps and things like that?
We don't have a place to dump grease. I have, like we've done really bad tanks that have grease in them and stuff like that, but I think I've only unclogged like 1 grease trap. I've done some commercial jobs, like, for campgrounds and stuff like that, where you do campers or where the campers dump and stuff at. But, there's not really anywhere around here super close that takes grease. And, none of our dumps is so funny. If you take grease at all, like you can't dump there. So you have to be secretive.
Wow. See, the grease traps.
Yeah.
I think we pump a lot of commercial waste too. Lots of restaurant grease traps and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Grease traps stink way worse than septic tanks do.
Oh God,
I can
yeah.
smell my guys when they walk in my trailer. I'm like, I love you, but you can't come in here because it like permeates on them all day. The septic, I don't even notice. Like as soon as you pull that lid off and it just, vents its gases, you're good.
Mm-hmm.
But grease traps just fucking stink the entire time you're there. They're disgusting.
They smell like a dead body decomposing. I hate a grease trap. That I have so I don't like porta johns even when they're clean because I still don't like the way they smell. I don't like we pump campers. Oh man, it's too fresh. It's too fresh. I like it when it's in the ground, it's fermenting some. Like after it's been in the ground a little while, everything marries together. It's not so bad. But when you do a fresh camper, it's like cat feed or something. I don't like it. Ugh. And then, grease traps. It's like you said, it turns my stomach because it really is like a decaying animal. And I'm like,
it really
it's
is
awful.
pretty
I don't like
nasty.
grease trap whatsoever.
Pretty nasty.
I mean, I'll pump them. I mean, I'll, to make money, but. Uh-oh, you there? My thing reconnected.
Again?
Yeah, can you hear me now? Sorry. It said like
Yeah.
this big thing came up on the screen and it was like reconnecting. And I was like, oh, seven dolphin, whatever.
It's fine. We got that part out.
Sorry. Sorry, guys. Sorry,
Oh,
guys.
that's awesome. So, with your business, do you plan on bringing your sons into this someday?
Oh, 125,000%. Like, that's why I want to expand like I want to, because I said, okay, we got 3 boys. We got the pumper side, pumping residential septic tanks, commercial, whatever. I want to get the bathroom trailers. And, I would love for one of them to just really hone in on inspections. That'd be great. Or my little 3-year-old, he loves an excavator and loves repairs and stuff like that. Like, he will, if he sees an excavator going down the road on a trailer, he'll fight you, man. So I feel like he might be my little installer. So I was like, it would be really cool for them all to have like a certain piece of the business. That way, they could break it off and they could expand like they want to, like just, things like that. And my 9-year-old, he lives the drag hoses. He's 9 years old and he is like a string bean and he can drag a hose better than a freaking grown man. It's a trip. Like, and so, and he loves to work hard and he hates school and doesn't like to read. And I just want him to graduate and not go to jail at this point. He hates school. It's so bad. He's not mean. He doesn't do anything bad. He just hates it. He's like me though. When I was in school, I remember looking out the window and watching people cut grass and be like, man, I wish I was cutting grass. It sucks. So I think my oldest is just like that. He's like,
yeah. I have a 10-year-old son and he's the same way. He could give a crap less. He can't wait to get out and come to work with mom. So, and I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Well, and I think with Ryan and stuff, like, and he works hard, like, he got that from his dad and got that from me too. But he's kind of personable like me. Like, his dad's pretty quiet. So he got a little bit more of personality like from me. So on the job and stuff, where he's came with me on the job so many times, he can go out there and he'll say, well, you got water coming back to me drain field, so that means your drain field's failing. And I'm like, see, wait a minute. And, like, hold on a minute, but he knows things. Like, he's like, you're supposed to have an outlet tee here, and it'll be like an old concrete baffled one. And he was like, that's really degraded or something. Or he'll come up with these big words, and he was like, you really need this. And he'll say, your tank's not supposed to have any more than 30% of solids. Like, he can spit facts because he's heard me spit them. So he's pretty cool. Like, he does good. I think he'd be a good one out on the job working, just to have somebody, to have somebody out there that could, really explain some things. And he's personable enough to where I would probably have to call him and say, okay, you've been there for 45 minutes or an hour. You got to go to the next guy. Leave the old man alone. Like, he'll talk about lonesome dove all day. He's just like me. He likes to talk, but I'm just like, that's going to be my only problem with him. It's not going to be the working. It's going to be the talking to the customer too much. All right. Next.
That's awesome. That is so awesome.
I was like, I can either pay for them a pumper truck or I can just like pay for their college. I'll let them pick. Unless you want to go college. But if you want a pumper truck, I'll buy you a pumper truck.
Yep. That is so awesome. Well, thank you so much for agreeing to come on Ladies Kicking Ass, Megan. This has been such a fun conversation. It's so great to meet you. I just knew when I got the Popper magazine, I was like, I gotta get her on here. I just told my crew when I left work, I'm like, I'm going to interview her on my podcast. So everybody's very excited for this to come out so they can get to know you too, because everyone in my office religiously reads this magazine. So it'll be super cool. I'm really excited about this. But at the end of every podcast, I always ask all the women, because I find it very fascinating how people resonate with the phrase. So if I were to ask you, Megan, what the phrase, when you hear it, the phrase ladies kicking ass, what does that mean to you in your life? Like, when do you know that you're a lady out there kicking ass?
I feel like ladies kicking ass. So I mean, I'll tell you exactly when during the day do I feel like this is on that last pump out when you're on the way to the dump or you're leaving the dump and you're pulling in the driveway to home and you've spent the entire day like basically kicking ass and freaking taking phone calls and doing jobs and slinging hose and whatever. And, just I feel like that when I'm driving home and, there's a little bit of quiet before I pick the boys up. So when I'm in that quiet and I'm about to park my truck and I hit the air brakes and turn my truck off, that right there, because I'm like reliving my day. And that's when I feel like, okay, you know what? You're a single mom and you got 3 kids, but you're fucking killing it. Like, you're doing a great job, and that's what it means to me, I feel. That's where it resonates the most with me, because especially after a long, successful day, like, it's like, you know what? It might have been hard, and but hey, you're killing it, so keep on going. It's just it gives you motivation to keep going. I like it.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. There's nothing better than a good day's work to feel like you're kicking some serious ass out there. And then you come home and you get to be mom to 3 little crazy boys. I also have 3 crazy little boys, so I understand that's a whole nother job when you get home. Big time.
Dude, they are lawnmowers. They are from 6:30 or 7 in the morning when I wake them up in the morning. They are John Deere lawnmowers on rabbit until 9 at night. So, you get up in the morning and you get everybody ready, get everybody fed, put all the backpacks in the car, crank the car, load all these little children in the car, then take them to school, drop everybody off, go to the pumper truck, work all day, and then get home, like park the truck, pick everybody up from where they need to be, bring them home, feed them. Do you have homework? You're lying. Yes, you do. Play Xbox with them for 5 seconds because you want to feel like a good mom after you feed them. Give everybody baths, put them in bed, and then you got to go die in a corner somewhere because you're tired. So you take your shower and then you can like sit. Sometimes when I'm laying in here, I'll like after everybody's asleep and I've taken my shower and I'll just sit and it'll be quiet and I'm like, did I really just do all that all day? Like, is this real life? But yeah, it doesn't. It's fun.
See,
but I wouldn't want it any other way. Yeah. I wouldn't. I'm so busy. Like, I've always like basically had ADHD and always worked with my hands and like I've got to stay busy. So it doesn't bother me. But when other people look at me, they're like, are you crazy? I'm like, not, well, maybe, but I mean, I just like to stay busy. So I think that's probably like when it comes to working in this industry or being an entrepreneur, I guess in general, I think that's one of the best things that kind of helps me out in the business is just liking to stay busy. Like even when I'm on like my downtime and I'm in here chilling, I'm like making ads on Canva or making another slogan or, fixing website stuff or coming up with a whole nother business plan on something else to expand on. Like, I think I love it. I just love it so much. I love the entire industry and I never thought I'd be doing this. So I'm tickled to death. It's wild. It's a wild life. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, you're kicking ass and you're doing a great job at that. So thank you for continuing to represent women in this industry and just good customer service, good business, good everything. It's just such a pleasure to meet people in this industry that are just good-hearted people that are out there making it better. So thank you so much.
No, thank you so much for inviting me on here. It's such a pleasure. It's a pleasure. And thank you for reading Pumper. That's so weird how that happened to me too. That was insane. Like insane. And it happened to drop when I went to the web show. So people were picking it up and they were like looking at it and then looking at me. And I'm like, what are they looking at? And I was like, oh my God, that's the physical copy. I've never had one. And then I was like, that is me. That's how Kim Hatch found me. She was like, I knew you were here. I was like, oh my God. So wild. I didn't know this would happen. Awesome. This is weird to me. Me and Kim have so much in common. Like the time we've been in business, like, oh my gosh, like it's just, it's like I went and found my sister at the web show. And I talk to her all the time. We text all the time. And she got me to make a TikTok. So now I have a TikTok. So, but mine's not as cool as hers. Karen has TikTok from the subject, follow it because she kills it every time.
Yeah, she does.
I'm not gotten brave enough yet.
I love it. Oh my God, she's so funny.
The newest one that's hilarious. She's so cool.
She is so cool. So cool. Well, thank you so much, Megan. It's really been a pleasure. And to all the ladies out there, just keep kicking ass.
Thanks for being part of the Ladies Kickin' Ass community. Cheers to all you badass women out there. Keep rocking your power, igniting your fire, and making waves in the service industry. If you loved today's episode, please do me a quick favor. Take a screenshot, post it, and tag us at Ladies Kickin' Ass. Be sure to include the link to your favorite episode. Your support in spreading the word means the world to us as we aim to empower even more women. Hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for more kick-ass episodes. And don't forget, a 5-star review is the ultimate high five. Connect with us on social media. All the links are in the show notes. Thank you for being part of our tribe. Now go kick some serious ass, lady.